So, today's video, the small devil, uh, I decided to try to make a whole carving without doing any tracing with a pencil and doing as little pre-planning with the knife as I possibly could. I wanted to see what the result would be, how good my instincts were as far as carving goes, and it was an interesting challenge. Here you can see me tracing a bit the profile with a rough profile of what the demon would be with the point of the knife. But whatever I traced, I made sure to do it thinly and roughly. I didn't want to be really limited by my tracing. I wanted to just be slightly guided. I wanted to let my instincts go as much as possible throughout the entire project, and to only start carving deeply when I'm at that point of the project. So I started from the head, trying to make the horns, the shape of the head, while leaving some room for horns. I ended up doing the final shape of the horns near the end of the project. I was scared to break them along most of the way, and with reason. I did break them. I did break what I was intending to be the horns at the beginning, and then I had to rework my plan, the horns, and then you'll see there were issues. Now this, I'll say this in advance right now. The end result is a lot rougher than my previous sculptures, because of the fact that I didn't plan basically at all. Just basically hinging on the fact that demons is making a small demon is a very vague way to describe what the plan is, because demons can be basically anything depending on where you look and what you're trying to do. So it really left a lot of leeway to just do whatever I wanted. So here I'm doing the shape of the back of the horns. I'm going to try to explain more what I'm doing this voiceover, because since I didn't trace anything, we don't see. It's not as obvious the exact place of the project I'm at as it was with the other projects where the black lines made it obvious what I was doing, and my narration was more or less pointless at that time. So now I'm trying to shape the top of what would become the horns to make them flush on both sides. And here I'm tracing slightly the face of the head and the final shape of the horns that I wanted them to have. I couldn't figure out, and I didn't get the right tools for the job when I initially tried to make that V. So I had to scrap a decent part of that, sadly, but that's for later in the video. So here I'm doing the sides of the horns and where they joined with the head. Here I shaped a bit the back of the head and where it joined to the body with the neck, and that's what I'm currently removing. So we're at the front part of the block. I'm removing matter in the direction of the head that points on the side to do the neck portion there. When editing, I noticed that I ended up leaving the back portion of the sculpture mostly untouched for a fairly large portion of the project. Which I don't know if I did. I don't really know how I ended up doing it this way. I think it might just have been neglect from the fact that I didn't really care about the back. Or maybe having one stable, straight surface felt like it helped. Maybe, I don't know. Holding the piece with one fixed face probably helped, but I definitely didn't think of that when I was doing the plan. So here I'm planning the place where the legs will end to start shaping the body. And I do a deep line at the very bottom of what would be the leg, the feet. And then where the small pedestal I made for it would rest. Here I'm removing, that's one of the sides of the legs, I think. Yeah. I'm fairly happy with how the legs ended up with this project. That's one of my favorite part, because these are the first real leg that don't end in the void that I've made. These are proper leg with the proper shape, mostly little feet, and I'm really happy about them because I managed to use some of my tools to go all the way through the wood in between the legs, which really helped sell the look compared to my initial plan, which was only a bit of depth in between the leg to help show them. So I'm deepening the neck, making go all around to have a better idea of the whole head and how the body shape flows, for lack of a better word. Because I left the horns for last, and because the proportion of how I decided to make the head, the ears look like rabbit. It almost looked I was carving a standing up rabbit for a bit there. So here I've traced the front of the legs and the feet, and a bit of the back to guide me, and I'm shaping the front right now. This was one of my shortest streams. Not tracing anything at all certainly helped with time, though it definitely didn't help with quality. Here I'm shaping the front. I've carved the front a bit for the other side to help me make the same shape roughly on the whole way through. And it felt like I had a good workflow as far as removing the wood went, with the exception of the horns, which I think we're about to see the break, probably. Because here I've already broken a bit of the tip of the of a horn, and here I'm trying to preserve the other one and just pretend like it was meant to be, that the first one was broken, like it just is a broken horned demon. But here I've just broken too much and it's not really recoverable, so I flatten it with the intent to choose a different shape for the horns. Just instead of being curved and to the side, they're just curved, yes, but towards the back and otherwise horizontal. And I didn't want to break them because once these one were broken, there was no saving it. So I held the horns when trying to remove wood in between them, and I struggled a bit by doing just tiny cuts and tiny splinters a lot. And then I chose to switch tools. These tools are not the knives I usually use. They're gouges, wood gouges that I chisels. Chisel is the correct word, that I had for a fairly long time, but didn't use much. And because they were, I'd only push. There's not the same leverage that risks breaking. And I think without these, I don't think I would have been able to remove the wood in between those shapes like this. And I'm definitely going to use them more for these kind of things in my different projects, my next projects, because I'm thinking about the legs on the beaver that I struggled with. These tools would definitely have helped then. These tools were the first wood carving tool I ever had, but because they're small tools that are mostly geared toward detail work, it was really it was painfully slow to try to make a full sculpture with these, and so I just didn't have the motivation to do so. So this is why I purchased different tools before starting this channel. But they do work well when they're used in the proper place. Now here I'm trying to make the horns as thin as I can without breaking them, and trying to sharpen them. I end up I never ended up sharpening them quite enough for my liking, but any more would have broken them and made the whole thing not as good. So I do like how it ended up. I would have preferred better, but given the lack of preparation and the struggles that preceded this moment, I do think it went about as well as it could have. And here is the first time I start working the back of the piece with the connection between the neck and the body, the head and body, to make it a whole round neck. Well, round neck, it's more of a oval. It's a bit of a fat devil, let's just say. I think soon we're going to be entering the leg phase. Yeah, we're doing the back of the leg now. And soon after, we're going to start seeing me try to shape the in between of the legs, make the gap that makes the legs whole. So to do the gap in between the legs, I first traced where I wanted the gap to be, and then I used one of my round chisel to shimmy in between and remove small chips, and a lot of that has been cut. Now I just started working other parts of the body in between, removing the gap, but because of the way I could properly apply force on the blade, on the chisel, um, my hand hid my work from the camera most of the time. So I try to limit the amount of times where not seeing anything and it's just my hand, and preserve mostly the times where we can actually see what I'm doing. So, and I also use it about somewhat like a drill by spinning the blade that is curved. I was able to make really deep dents that by leveraging against these, I was able to remove fairly sizable chips from the hole I was trying to make. I ended up needing to attack it from both sides in order to prevent my because at some point past a certain depth it became really hard to give the blade, the chisel, the angle it needed in order to remove a chip. So I had to go back and forth on both sides to weaken the point I dug through until the blade just pierced completely through. And once the blade went fully through the first time, right here, I simply went back to doing a small shimmy to refine the shape a bit and make it more defined. One of the issue with this way of doing things is the surface isn't really that pretty. It's fairly rough and has a lot of splinters, and it wasn't really possible to go with the blade and smoothen it out with a knife. So I did try to round the legs, the inner portion of the legs, to make them slightly better with this knife, but that went well. Not as much as I would have liked, but the angle was too hard to get. So now I'm rounding the back of the head because it doesn't need to be that large back there. And here I had the eyes. I ended up making the eyes way too big compared to what I was planning because my knife slipped a bit, and then I tried to save it and did work. So the eyes are a lot bigger than intended. And then when I made the mouth right after the eyes, I dug slightly too deep, and it's not visible on camera, but for me it was very visible that a big splinter was removed. So I just large splinter had been weakened, so I just removed it. I intended to glue it back on, but I lost it, so it ended up just being slightly broken. So here I'm doing just a bit of a boss, just a bit of a higher portion where the arms would be. I'm more suggesting the arms than defining them fully, just to give it a bit more depth and more personality. The ends go like towards the bottom of its belly to make it, I don't know, jolly. That's not the right word, but it felt right. And after the arms are done, the project is basically over, since I'd lost the piece I wanted to glue on and didn't decide to make the pistol better. So thank you for watching.